Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Tuesday, May 23rd. I'm your host, Kate Walker. The World Health Organization has officially deemed the COVID-19 pandemic no longer a global emergency, which means Nova Scotia is changing its approach to how it manages the virus. As of today, Nova Scotia has lifted the COVID-19 related Health Protection Act order, mandatory vaccination protocols for high-risk settings, and the rules around COVID-19 management in long-term care facilities. The province says COVID-19 will now be treated similar to respiratory illnesses like influenza and RSV.
What I'm saying today is that we don't need the emergency response, a specific focus on COVID, but hopefully we have generally a society that is more respectful of respiratory viruses and collectively does the things that we need to do.
Managers who work in high-risk settings will now be in charge of whether or not they choose to enforce COVID policies like masking. The province is also changing the way it reports COVID-19, and the weekly dashboard will be updated for the last time this Thursday. Monthly reports will continue. The Nova Scotia NDPs are calling on the Houston government to cut the grocery tax to help make buying food more affordable. The changes were called for at an announcement today at the Peace and Friendship Park in Halifax. The New Democrats say lowering grocery bills would be a way for Premier Houston to directly help families afford the basics.
And that would be done by creating a point-of-sale rebate for HST on all retail food products, which would help lower grocery bills for Nova Scotians.
The NDPs say, according to a recent report, 22% of Nova Scotian families can't afford healthy food, up 17% from last year.
How I shop has changed, going to multiple stores, using apps to try and purchase food that's near expiry, attempting to buy in bulk when I can to get more for the money that I have. Slowly, I felt our eating habits changing. We buy more processed food. We don't go for the nutritious options as often because the processed options are cheaper.
It's expected the average family in Nova Scotia will spend $16,000 on groceries this year, up from $14,700 in 2021. One man has been acquitted in a high-profile Dartmouth sexual assault case. The not guilty verdict was announced today at Brent Alexander Julian's trial in Dartmouth Provincial Court. In an hour-long decision, the judge said she accepted evidence that Carrie Lowe was raped by two men in a camper in East Preston in May 2018. But she also said the evidence did not satisfy her beyond a reasonable doubt that Julian was one of the perpetrators.
The issue with DNA is that there has to be a certain amount of DNA in order to develop a profile. If there's not enough DNA to develop a full profile, then they can't make any meaningful comparison. You heard the judge referring to the fact that there wasn't enough to create a second profile. So that's it has more to do with a technical cutoff for the analysis.
Lowe contacted police May 19, 2018 to report she had been abducted by a group of men outside Dave Doolittle's Bar and Grill in Dartmouth the night before and raped at an address in East Preston. Almost 2 years went by before Alexander Joseph Frederick Thomas of East Preston was arrested and charged in February 2020. The 35-year-old was awaiting trial on charges of sexual assault and forcible confinement when he was shot and killed at a home on Brayside Court in Dartmouth on November 2021. His charges were dismissed in provincial court 3 days later. 35-year-old Julian was arrested in February 2022 and charged with sexual assault. But in the judge's decision today, it was noted there was no DNA evidence linking Julian to the offense.
I actually was prepared for a decision later today. It's still shocking to hear. But like Emma said, and I agree that, if when I reported, the police took it seriously and investigated within a matter of hours and days, I don't think we would be standing here with the same conclusion.
Lowe has been highly critical of police for their handling of her case. In May 2019, after months of inaction by investigators, she filed a complaint against Halifax Regional Police with the Nova Scotia Office of the Police Complaints Commissioner. She also filed a lawsuit in Supreme Court against HRP and the RCMP, accusing them of mishandling her case. A 24-year-old man has been charged in a downtown Halifax stabbing this holiday Monday. It happened on the 1200 block of Barrington Street. The call came in around 4 a.m. Police say they found two men with stab wounds. Both were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A suspect was arrested at the scene. And today, police say they've laid charges against a 24-year-old, Austin Blake. They say a man approached a group of people who were not known to him and stabbed two men. Blake was scheduled to appear in Halifax Provincial Court today to face charges of attempted murder, aggravated assault, assault causing bodily harm, and possession of a weapon dangerous to the public. Blue Mountain-Birch Cove Lakes has passed the first test on its path to being designated as a national urban park. It was announced today at the Masqua Aquatic Club on Kearney Lake in Halifax that Parks Canada, in collaboration with other partners, including the HRM and Indigenous communities, has completed the pre-feasibility report. This first step shows the site meets Parks Canada's initial requirements for designation.
There is, very generously, Parks Canada has provided funding for this process to allow the Nature Trust and all the partners to participate, to be part of all this public consultation and do those studies that are needed. It's not funding for land acquisition. So there's sort of a, as was stated, we can only plan a park for what we own.
The next step is the planning stage that will set the scope for the project, identify infrastructure needs, governance, park boundaries, detailed planning for trails, and more.
I think that the faster Halifax grows, the more space it needs for peace and quiet. I've had the privilege, and I know it's a privilege, of growing up next to something like this. And in 5 minutes, I can be in a place where I don't hear traffic anymore.
Parks Canada is providing over $2.1 million to cover the costs of the planning stage and to assess opportunities for the conservation of nature. New digital diagnostic imaging equipment at the Yarmouth Regional Hospital is going to be a game changer for healthcare workers and patients. It's backed up by the support of the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation, which is being celebrated for its work in the community to support the hospital. SaltWire's Tina Camo has more on the new equipment.
An event was recently held at the Yarmouth Regional Hospital to celebrate the hospital's new digital radiography unit. The benefits of the new diagnostic imaging equipment to both healthcare staff and patients were heralded during the event. Nova Scotia Health and the Yarmouth Regional Hospital say the equipment replaces X-ray and diagnostic equipment that was about 25 years old and whose technology wasn't as up-to-date as the new equipment. The benefits that were touted included less workplace injury due to equipment that is now digitally automated as opposed to having to be physically maneuvered. It will create better and more efficient workflow and will reduce the amount of time patients have to spend in diagnostic imaging, which will also allow for more patients to be seen. The Yarmouth Hospital Foundation, which contributed $700,000 towards the project, was thanked for its support and also spoke to why it sees its ongoing work as important.
The foundation does incredible work to rally our community in providing support for this hospital, and we could not do it without your support, so thank you so much.
This is the kind of days that we like to reflect upon how successful we've been and how thankful we are to our many donors who've come through over the years. We've been successful, but it's a partnership. It isn't just us, it's our donors, and it's also the workers who are here, the health professionals that work at the hospital.
Time you put in, the money you raise, as has been previously alluded, it's great, it's fantastic. A lot of the equipment that we get here in the hospital would be delayed in getting if it wasn't for the work that the foundation does.
A similar celebration was held at Roseway Hospital in Shelburne County the day before, where the Roseway Hospital Charitable Foundation and Nova Scotia Health partnered in funding new digital diagnostic imaging equipment there as well. The equipment at both hospitals, it was said, will greatly enhance care for patients and the working environment for healthcare workers. This is Tina Camo, reporting for SaltWire in Yarmouth.
Time now for the Atlantic Sports Wire, presented by Scott Squires.
Chris Head is entering his 18th season playing for the Dartmouth Mooseheads Senior Baseball Club. But this season, Chris and his teammates are going to look a little different. Chris, you're a Yankees fan, you're used to pinstripes, but a little breaking news here. With Dartmouth Moosehead's uniform on the Atlantic Sports Wire, what can you tell us?
The pinstripes are gone, man, for the first time in 20 years. We decided after finishing back-to-back silvers at the Canadian Championships, the Nationals, and losing last year, we decided to switch it up. We've been looking to do it for the last couple years, and we figured now's the time. It's a fresh start, fresh faces, so no time like the present.
So what are we going to see when Chris Head steps into the batter's box and gets ready to hit?
You're going to see the white jerseys kind of look exactly like the Detroit Tigers. And we went for our away jersey. It's like inverted. So it'd be like the way when I first came up, it was black jersey with a white D. That's what we went with for our away jersey.
Looking forward to seeing it. And for you, again, getting ready to take to the field for the 18th season, what does it mean to you when you put on that Dartmouth sweater, that Dartmouth jersey and uniform?
It's hard to explain. I just don't, the best way to explain is I don't see myself wearing another uniform at this point. And as we were talking before the show, 18 years is a long time to do anything. 18 years with this team obviously it means a lot to me. I've invested a lot of my time in it. But yeah, no, it's very special to me. It means a lot to me.
Here's a look at the home schedule for the Dartmouth Mooseheads Senior Baseball Club in Halifax. I'm Scott Squires for the Atlantic Sports Wire.
Thank you, Scott. On to weather now. Our weather specialist, Alistair Alders, is off today. Let's see what's coming up in the 7-day forecast. Partly cloudy and 13 degrees tomorrow, then showers to finish off the work week, up to 20 degrees and partly cloudy this Saturday. Similar temperatures Sunday with some rain, 19 next Monday and Tuesday with a mix of sun and clouds. That's all for now. For more extended video and full online articles, stay tuned to saltwire.com, and you can find us on social media. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Turn off the noise. Tune in to what matters. What matters is information you can trust. What matters is the news you can use to make life's big decisions. Informed healthcare choices, casting the smart vote, or opening that business. What matters is understanding the world around you. Let SaltWire connect you to what matters with unlimited access to the information you need for only $20 for the first year. Become a member today.